Good morning, class HC. We have started our assignment for second card test, and I've given you the first assignment for second card test in our previous class. Now, just to have the corrections, those who have committed mistakes. Okay, so assignment 1 for second card test, question number 1 was tick the most appropriate answer. So all of you, those who have done the mistakes, just correct it. So question number 1 was which of the following is or are characteristics of a physical change? So temporary change, reversible change, formation of no new substance, all of them above. So if you see the characteristic of physical change, it matches with all the A, B and C. So the correct option is D, all of the above. Similarly, question number 2, which of the following is not a chemical change? Which is not a chemical change means it is a physical change. So roasting of iron, cooking of food, digestion of food and freezing of water. So out of this, if you see freezing of water, it is a physical change because it only change in the states and the composition remains the same. So the correct option is D, freezing of water. Question number 3, which of the following is a chemical change? So options are burning of magnesium even in air, freezing of water, evaporation of water and tearing of paper. So if you see the option B, C and D, they are only the changes that are temporary. Whereas option A, burning of magnesium even in air, is a permanent change and a new substance is formed, so it is a chemical change. Question number 4, which of the following refers to the change of state from solid to liquid? So what do you call the process when a solid changes to liquid? So we call this process as melting. 5, which form of energy is absorbed in photosynthesis? So during photosynthesis, which form of energy is absorbed? So as we know that plants prepare their foods by the products like carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll pigment and in the presence of light, sunlight. So over here, the energy that is absorbed is light energy. Okay, so these are the correct options for the question number 1. Now we'll go for question number 2. Fill in the blanks. A dash change is a temporary and reversible. It's a physical change. Number 2, in a chemical change, the original substance loses its own composition and properties. Question number 3, a dash change is generally associated with the evolution or absorption of energy. So, a chemical change. When a chemical change takes place with the evolution of heat energy, the change is said to be exothermic. So, when there is a liberation of energy, heat energy, we call that reaction as exothermic reaction. Water while freezing releases heat energy. Okay. Now we'll move for question number 3. Write true or false, correct the false statements. 1. In a physical change, the chemical composition of the original substance is altered. The statement is false. So, the correct statement for this is in a physical change, the chemical composition of the original substance remains the same, we can write. The melting of wax is a physical change. It's true. All changes of states are physical change. It's also true. Condensation refers to the change of state from liquid to gas on cooling. False. Because condensation refers to the change of state from gas to liquid on cooling. A chemical change is permanent and irreversible, which is true. And mass is created during a chemical change. As we know, mass is neither created nor destroyed during a chemical change. Fine. Question number 4. Classify the following changes into physical and chemical changes. Melting of wax, physical change. Digestion of food, chemical change. Sublimation of iodine, physical change. stretching or rubber band, physical change; magnetization of iron, physical change; burning of a candle, chemical change; rusting of iron, chemical change; and lastly, burning of a piece of magnesium ribbon is also a chemical change. So these were the um, questions which you have seen in the first assignment. Okay, so please correct it. Now, today we are going to start a new chapter. That will be the chapter number 3, and the name of this chapter is Elements, Compounds and Mixtures. Okay, so before we start the chapter, let us recollect the basics to understand this topic. Say, for example, matter. As we know the definition of matter, anything that occupies space and has mass are called matter. And we know that matter exists in 3 different states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Again, matter can be classified or grouped into two major groups: pure substances and impure substances. Okay, so a pure substances means over here the atoms or the elements will be of only one kind. It will be only of one kind, whereas in impure substances you'll have the substances where you'll find more than two different substances mixed together. The example of pure substances are elements and compounds, and the example of impure substances is mixtures. Okay, now we'll study about the elements. These are the 3 different states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas, which we have already seen in first chapter. We have seen about its intermolecular space, about the intermolecular force of attraction, how they are different in 3 different states of matter. Next, elements. Elements is defined as: an element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down into simpler substances by any physical or chemical means. So an element is considered as pure substance which we cannot decompose or broke down into other simpler substances by any physical means or chemical means. Say, for example, gold, iron, silver, copper, aluminum, they're examples of elements. Presently, there are 118 elements known. Out of that, 92 elements occur naturally, and the remaining are man made by humans. Gold, as we know, which is a very, very precious element and precious metal which is used to prepare ornaments and all. This gold is a pure substance, and if you break down into smaller pieces, that smaller pieces will also have the same properties as the larger one. So over here we can see that if you broke down into uh, pieces also, the composition and the properties remains the same of the gold. Symbols of elements. What does symbol means? Elements are represented by symbols. The symbol of an element is a single letter or 2 letter abbreviation, or we call short form of its full name. So generally all the elements are represented by symbols, and it can be a single letter or 2 letter. Say, for example, this table 3.2 shows names and symbols of element of the first 20 elements. Okay, first 20 elements in the periodic table. Say, for example, hydrogen H, helium He, lithium Li, beryllium Be, boron B, carbon C, nitrogen N, oxygen O, fluorine F, neon Ne, sodium Na, magnesium Mg, aluminum L, silicon Si, phosphorus P, sulfur S, chlorine Cl, argon Ar, potassium K, and calcium Ca. So this elements till 20, the atomic numbers as well as the name of the element along with the symbols are very important. So just in your notebook, please copy this table, okay, for your future reference, as well as you need to remember these symbols as well. Okay, now there are certain elements. If you see, there are certain elements, say for example hydrogen H, the first letter it has taken, helium He. Why? The first letter is only H. If you take H, then there will be no difference between the first element hydrogen and helium. So in order to make the difference, it has taken one more letter, that is He. Fine. Lithium Li, carbon over here is C, and if you see calcium, the first letter is C, so we can't repeat the same letter for the two different elements, so we have taken Ca. But if you see now for sodium, the sodium, according to this, its symbol should be S, the first letter, but it is Na. The reason is that there are certain elements which has derived its name from Latin word. Okay, we'll see that thing. Okay, now these are the name of the elements which has derived its name from Latin name. Say for example sodium, in the Latin name we call natrium, and it has taken the symbol Na. Okay, similarly potassium, Latin name is gallium, K. Iron, ferrum, Fe. Copper, cuprum, the symbol Cu. Silver, argentum, Az. And gold, aurum, Au. Okay, so these are the elements which has derived its name from Latin name, and so the symbol is written from that name. Fine. Now today's assignment number 2 for your second card test. Question number 1, define matter. What are the three different states of matter? Question number 2, define an element. And question number 3, write the symbols of the following elements: lithium, fluorine, sodium, silicon, chlorine, and copper. So complete this assignment and send it in my mail.